Alrighty, what's up, y'all? So this week has been unsatisfactory to say the least. So there's been a lot going on, or a week, last couple days actually, and as you can see, I'm not on my usual steed. I'm actually riding my buddy Jixer's 2015 Z1000. For multiple reasons. So one, I come out of work a couple days ago, thought it was like some bird droppings on my rear tire, went to go kick it off. It got real shiny real quick. Found out it was a nail head embedded in my tire. Usually if there's a nail head, there's a nail that goes along with it. So aired the tire up, got it home, and was trying to make the decision of whether or not I should go ahead and plug it or be screwed on the road trip that we're about to take, which is the another reason that we have his bike with us today. I don't know why I feel like I'm yelling, but as you can tell, she's a little grunty. The main difference between his bike is my bike sounds like this, and his bike sounds like this. So, due to her very operatic singing voice, I feel like I have to talk so much louder now. I understand why he's yelling at me all the time when we're on our Cena units. So anyway, nail in my tire, bad, sucks. So I'm borrowing his bike because we're about to go play military. We're gonna take it a road trip to an undisclosed location. If I told you, I'd have to kill you. OPSEC, folks. No. But seriously, it is very, very publicized military exercise called Patriot. It's held in Wisconsin, I think, every year. It's a dime ops exercise. Basically, teaches us how to do homeland type stuff between interagencies. It's a little more involved, but we're non-players, we're comms, so we basically set up the stuff and we have opportunities after work to go riding. So he's on doing vacation stuff with his family. He stored the bike at my house so I can load it up on the trailer, and pretty much gave me permission to ride it and review it, which of course comes to a bad freaking thing that happened this week, number 3. Did a whole review on this bike after I rode it to work. Lost all of it because I freaking ripped my mic out of my helmet by mistake, and then doing so, when I tried to repair it, God, this bike is so loud. Yeah, my repair didn't take. I did a full review on the bike, had no idea I wasn't picking up any audio at all, and yeah, lost the whole thing, which is super freaking awesome. So yeah, on my journey to work, as you can see, if you've ever noticed, this is not my phone. Well, it's my phone now. This is my wife's old phone or my daughter's old phone. This little membrane meant to secure the phone on a rim mount. My buddy's missing one of his nubbies, but that's nothing against the mount itself or its functionality. It's against me because I am a jackass and I didn't use the membrane because I don't use it on my bike. His bike's like this, giving the flat phones a lot more opportunity to catch some air. My bike is like this, behind my protective windscreen, flat. I never use the membrane. Membrane's not even on my freaking rim mount. Used that rim mount for 2 years, no problem. But I did run into a problem. So now, as you can see, my cell phone is now contained within this paper towel because it flew off his freaking bike on 94 on the way to work. And I spent maybe about an hour and 10 minutes walking up and down 94 before I decided this was dumb and I should get off the freeway. I didn't record any of it. Even if I did, my freaking mic was jacked up, which I didn't even know. It wouldn't have made any difference. But I didn't record any of it because I wasn't thinking about recording. I was, 1, trying not to get hit by any cars, and 2, holding out hope that my phone may still exist somewhere. He ended up taking me back to go look for it a little later, and I felt bad because I had his bike. I parked his bike on the shoulder, so I was super paranoid. I was like, dude, if I got a nail in my buddy's tire, I would be super pissed, and I had to get him a new tire. So his tire came out fine. Everything was perfect until we looked at his car. He drove to work because I have his bike. He took me riding up and down the shoulder, and then he picked up a freaking screw. So yay, I'm contagious now. So freaking awesome. Oh yeah, and while doing his review, I was getting off work. It started to rain. I rode from the back of the building to the front of the building, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wait this out, go back in and chill out. Sat at work for another hour, came out, sun shining, beautiful, pulled over to start doing the review, took off down Gratiot, sunlight, bright, shiny, I get rained on again. I'm like, what the I don't get it. Now, I personally don't mind riding in the rain. I actually don't have a problem with it. I enjoy it some days, but since I was on my buddy's bike, one, I didn't feel like cleaning it, and two, I'm not used to his tires. He's got the, geez, I forget which tires he's got, but I'll throw a spin around in the video. You can take a look for yourself. But I'm not used to these tires, not used to his bike, and I just didn't want to ride his bike in the rain. I'll ride my own bike in the rain. Less liability of my own, you know? It's one of those things where if I have an issue with this bike, I don't want to dump my buddy's bike at all, because he trusts me to ride it, just like I would trust pretty much any of my buddies to ride my bike. I believe they would take responsibility for anything they do, and they would take care of it. And I just wanted to afford him the same luxury. So now, after all of that crap, I'm on my way to Sonic to get me some freaking Fat Boy pills. I'm gonna get me a burger and a shake. I did my workout for the day. I do have a shirt on, so it's good times for everybody. And I'm gonna go ahead and review this bike. So the main difference between his bike and my bike, other than the exhaust, is that she is light. Like, even without the fairings, like the fairings on my bike don't add too much weight, but I don't know what the GVWR is, the gross vehicle weight rating of this bike. But I can tell you right now, she's nimble, very, 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 very light. My bike is heavy, but I like that heft. It gives me a, I don't know, sense of security. I don't know why, but we got the same engine, same wheelbase, same brakes. He's got an ABS system. He does not have traction control, weather modes, power modes, any of that stuff. This bike is all go all the time. I ride with my traction control system off for the most part. I always ride under full power mode because I have a full, low, and like 1, 2, 3 type stuff. This bike is always full power, period. It feels like you're trying to hold an attack dog on a leash at all times. It pulls at 6th like it's in 2nd or 3rd. Like, it's crazy amount of go. He's also got the cat eliminator kit on here, the Krapovich pipes, headers, going into some SP Engineering cans on the side, left and right. He's got dual cans just like I do. Like I said, they're twin bikes. This is just a naked version, unfaired version of my Ninja 1000, and I cannot breathe. So his bike has a lot more grunt. I believe it's got a little bit more horsepower, and it is noticeably faster than mine. He's juiced me a couple times, and I'm pretty upset about it, but that's okay. He's been riding a lot longer than me, than I'll attribute it to that. So I still got the boat anchor on my bike, and she sounds cool. I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to rip that thing off yet. I do want to rip it off, but I don't want it to be obnoxiously loud, and I actually do like that little bing sound I get off my bike. So another difference between his bike and my bike, like start from the front and go to the back. My headlights are mounted to the cowl, which means if my bike turns, the headlights pretty much stay where they were already pointing. If you're going in the forward motion, look up, dude, and drive. Good God. If you're going in forward motion, my headlights pretty much stay where they were pointed. His headlights are mounted to the forks. So when you change direction of the forks, you change direction of the headlight. That's something I'm not used to. And I actually ran into a guy down at Rosenau, which, getting off subject, but that's where I got my tire patched at. I'll talk about that in another video. That rode dirt bikes, and he's got a, I think a 14 Ninja 300. And he was a pretty cool dude. We talked for like half an hour, 40 minutes down there. And he was used to it. And he actually likes the way that if the bike turns, the light is going where he's looking already. And I was like, damn, I didn't even think about that perspective. So it just shows you how varied riders' taste can be when they're looking at bikes. Dude, if you're watching this video, throw your name down in the comments. I forgot your name, I'm sorry. But we did have a good talk on Saturday, and I appreciate your insight. So, his bike lights turn. He's got circular headlights where mine are slanted and very sharp, very geometric. It's really, really different. Mine's more futuristic and his more angry wasp. It's very, very intimidating to look at the front of his bike. Like, it looks mean and angry all the time. It's got a permanent scowl on its face, and it's actually really cool. So it's got a very tiny instrument cluster. This is his aftermarket windscreen, so you got no wind protection, and I feel like there's nothing in front of me. Like, my bike, even though I'm on a sport bike, I feel like roadkill. I feel like that's gross. that I am encased in something. I have some type of protection around me. My bike is bulky. I feel like there's some sort of shielding, something. This is nothing. I feel like the freaking insurance commercial where the dude, the Moltard or whatever, where he's like top half is human and the bottom half is motorcycle. I feel like I'm riding with only my torso. Like nothing in front of me exists. It's a crazy feeling. Don't jump in my lane. Oh, she got the go sauce. So, his instrument cluster is tiny. I rode this bike before, about a year ago. I did a review on it back then and lost that one too. I was very confused at this to begin with. So his instrument cluster has from 1 to 3K on the left side going vertical for your RPM, your tachometer. And then once you get past 3K, 4K and up, go across the top of this bar here. This is very confusing. That part I do not like about his bike. It is very bright and easy to see at night. Oh, I forgot the headlight. Another part of the headlight. He's got a very like Cyclops type light square in the middle of the forehead of this bike. It's kind of cool. So back to the instrument cluster. He has left and right signals. He doesn't have like the temperature gauge on the front. You have to cycle through it. My bike has a lot of the information on the far right cluster. And again, spoiled. It's like you know, this bike is the rowdy aunt and my bike is like the upper class sister who goes to all of the dining events and wears white linens and such. But this bike is super awesome. He added this additional gear shift indicator. It does take a second. It won't show you what you're doing if you're standing still, if you're in neutral and first, and it takes a couple seconds. It actually takes about 1 to 2 seconds for it to adjust to the gear when you're moving. It does nothing when you're still. It actually plugs into the ECU, I believe. So it's aftermarket, as where mine is built in, and it's much more responsive. But I mean, you would expect that from a built-in tool. This aftermarket one isn't bad. I don't know the brand. I think it's called Idea. Shouldn't be looking down while I'm riding. And it actually works pretty neat. It's very bright. You can see it during the day. You can see it at night, obviously. But it's pretty cool. So as far as the other part of his instrument cluster, he's got a like a pie chart type fuel gauge where I have a bar graph going vertical. His goes in a circle. His gas mileage is around the same as mine, but he drives like a butthole, so he gets nominally less fuel mileage, fuel economy, because the dude is always ripping her out, which I would too. This thing is awesome. He has raced a couple Hellcats. Winners of said race I shall not announce in this video, but he knows who won, and he cried about it a lot. And that's okay. It's okay. It's okay that you lost. So this bike has a 4.2 or 4 gallon fuel tank, I believe, where mine has a 5.1. So I can actually store more gas than he can. He has to fill up more often, but it's very slim. My gas tank is around the same shape, but it's a little bit wider, and these childbirthing hips can swing around them, and I feel like I'm more secure. This one's a little thinner than mine, but the way the position of the gas tank is, it's farther up, which doesn't feel like I'm squeezing my legs any tighter. It doesn't put any stress on my hips or groin area, and it's actually really easy to manage this bike. I do not like his mirrors. These are aftermarket mirrors. His normal mirrors are where his phone mount is and his GoPro mount, which this is his adapter. This is my mount case. He's got the ball mount because he replaced his stock mirrors with the GoPro attachment in those mount points for the mirrors. He had put on the bar end mirrors, which means he really can't use bar end sliders, which is you know, whatever, but his bar ends are weighted. The vibrations in the handles are almost non-existent. I mean, for a sport bike, you know, some bikes vibrate you to crap and you're like, dude, I want to get off this bike right now because my hands are numb. But it actually feels pretty good in the hand riding this bike. I don't know how fast this light changes. His bar end mirrors don't have my little cheat adapters on them. Whew, it gets hot fast in a black helmet. So it's, I have to turn my head like extra to see, and I got to do this like lean over position thing. Which is fine. You got to keep your head on a swivel as a rider anyway, but they are cool. They look cool on this bike. I don't think they would look as cool on my Ninja 1000. I think just because this bike is naked, it adds to the appeal, just having these bar end mirrors. This candy paint is awesome. I normally don't like Kawasaki green. I'm a Kawasaki fanboy, but that is one thing I think they did not get right up until around this year model. Their old school green used to just be gaudy, just too much. There was something off with it. But the way they put the metal flex in here, whoo, It's a nice green. I compliment him on his paint almost every time I see his bike. It glows in the sun almost. It's freaking crazy and it looks awesome. His clutch lever pull and brake lever are same as mine. His brakes feel a little tighter than mine, but I'm gonna bleed those later. And I'm gonna increase that tightness, and I'm gonna probably change my brake pads depending on how that goes. Post a video up for that as well. Where was that? The tank, the paint, the seat is slightly thinner. Like I said, is molded and going towards that thinner gas tank, where the gas tank itself is thinner. He is rocking the tech spec grips just like I am, so it feels about the same. And even this little movement, I am tossing this bike around the road. I'm only 210 pounds to something. I don't know, I'll go up and down. And I can body weight this bike. I can, you know, force the bike. Like sometimes you got to do all this stuff, and the bike definitely outweighs the rider, and you have to do a lot more with it. Me, I don't feel like I have to do a lot with this bike, which probably aids in the maneuverability of it. It's freaking awesome. Like I said, the seat is thinner. It's shaped sharper than mine is. Mine is more of a subtle, flowy shape, and the passenger seat is much bigger. This bike is pretty much designed to be ridden by one rider or somebody with a thin little tuchus. So, my bike is much more passenger friendly. The passenger seat is made out of thicker padding, and it's much wider than his passenger seat. His passenger seat is pretty much an arrow, and I haven't sat on it because I'm never going to be a passenger, but I just gotta say, I wouldn't want that door stop up at me. I'm good on that. So, his foot pegs, placement, body position is pretty much the same as mine. I actually did like some spliced pictures to show how similar our bikes are in size and shape. Actually, the thumbnail for this video, and probably a couple pictures which I've already thrown in here just to show how similar these bikes' designs are. What else? He is rocking frame sliders. They're like gunmetal carbon fiber looking joints, which is good. He does not have any spool sliders or fork sliders in the front. Neither do I. I really want to invest in some, but kid life, you know, when I buy toys I will. But he does have rear spools on for his stand, but no actual sliders. He's just got the frame sliders mounted to the supports for the frame. His foot pegs are steel, all the way steel, no rubber padding. They do a pretty good job of absorbing the shock though. I'm also wearing very thick rubber boots, but my pads are rubber coated with a steel frame, so they absorb a lot of shock. I don't feel the vibration in my feet a lot, and man, this is awesome. This is a really fun bike to ride, guys. Like, I don't like it more than my bike because I love my bike, but man, I can appreciate this thing. The buffeting though, I don't like that. I'm spoiled with my windscreen. That dude's got to have a strong ass neck, because my freaking helmet, like even going normal street speeds on Grossbeck, I mean, I could feel it going back and forth, and this little tiny windscreen is not doing a lot. How close was that car to me, bro? Like, come on, dude. So he doesn't have a lot of wind protection, as in a lot, I mean like none. So he's got to sit and take a lot of that to the chest, and he rides on the freeway a lot. So I can't say that I would enjoy riding this on the freeway at speed a lot, but riding around town like this, whew, this baby's got some go. And it's definitely a head turner because it's bright, it's shiny, and it's loud. So his tail light, did we talk about the pegs, did we talk about the seat, we talked about the tank, we talked about the grips. Oh no, his grips are stock, but you don't really need to change them. Those are always like you know, kind of novelty items. You don't need to change your grips unless they're completely worn out. You change them for the feel and all this other stuff, but nobody needs to change their grips, just like you don't need to change your levers. Sonic, this is a horrible turn. Can I make it? Yeah, I can. I'm on a motorcycle. That lean. So his bike is freaking awesome. We talked about the brakes, and did we talk about the brakes? His brakes are the same as mine, pretty much, except for when I change them later. Alrighty, his gear shift indicator says I'm in neutral. Does that say 0? Because 0 is neutral. That's kind of awesome. So, I mean, Click. His key's different than mine too. He's got this big, giant freaking hammer. It's freaking crazy. So look at his seat. Like, I mean, if you could sit right there, maybe. I don't know. So in this video, I'm going to go ahead and throw the walk around that I did the other day. Oh, I forgot to talk about his idle adjust knob. So my idle adjust knob goes over to the other side of the bike, the right side, via like an extension cable, because obviously I have a ton of fairings covering this spot. He doesn't have that. He can just reach down and adjust his idle anytime he feels like it, which is pretty convenient, which I can do the same. It's not like it's inconvenient because I got an extension cord on mine. Let's come around this side here. That thing, I think is cool. Continental, Conti Road Track Attack, kind of can't read attacks. Conti Road Attack 2 Evos. Those are, I don't know, they feel good to me. Compared to my Angel GTs, especially when they don't have holes in them, feels freaking awesome. So, yeah, can I recommend this bike? Yes. Am I a Kawi fanboy? Absolutely. Oh man, I forgot to talk about the stuff that I want to get. When I was down in Rosenau, getting my tire looked at, and talking to that dude, I ran into the cruiser that I might actually want to get one day, that M109 Suzuki. That thing is freaking boss. Like, when I get a cruiser, it's probably going to be one of those, or the Kawasaki Vulcan. Haven't made up my mind, but I am really leaning towards that Suzuki. Well, that's it, guys. I'm done talking. I'm gonna go get me a milkshake and some grub, and then I'm gonna ride back home. As you can see, the rain spots are still there from the other day, but I'll clean it later. Oh, bum, didn't leave it with no gas in it, so I had to fill it up. But actually, let me ride his bike. That's the least I can do. I topped off his freaking coolant and greased the chain, because that's what friends are for and such. And I will see you guys later. If I missed anything, I'm not a professional reviewer. Go ahead and take my advice at your own risk. But if you have anything that I missed that you feel like you should put in on this bike, go ahead and drop it down in the comments. Oh, he's got a Go Cruise. This thing's pretty cool. So what it does is like a throttle lock. So you would roll this on, push this down here, and now you can cruise on the highway. And if you needed to hurry up and pull it off, you just roll it forward like that. And now it's returned to neutral. Pretty cool. I am not using it because it's not my bike. I'm not used to it. But I was thinking about getting one, but I do like to control the throttle myself. But we do ride for a long time some days. I might think about investing in one of these puppies. So that's it for the second time. I'm out of here. I'm hungry. It's hot. Catch you later.